Hey guys, how's it going? It's Andy from Magoo Investing. Welcome back. This is actually the second time I've actually tried to record this video. I recorded it on Wednesday night, and when I went to edit it this morning, the file was actually corrupted. So here I am, I'm gonna try it again. And based off of that, I found out that when I hit 1,000 subscribers, a new feature was opened up to me. And it was the idea that I can put out polls, which for some reason are only available for people to see on mobile. But I kind of put up and I asked what you guys wanted to see. And obviously I posted that a couple hours before I recorded this video, so it didn't have a lot of responses, but be looking out for that in the future. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the tobacco company Altria, ticker symbol MO. This was a requested video, so if there's a topic or just a company you'd like me to go over in a future episode, please leave in the comment section down below and I'll get to it as soon as I can. Obviously, I've had a lot of requests in the past, so I can't get to everyone, but if you have a really interesting company, I'd love to go over it. Before we get started, I gotta say that I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and I highly recommend talking to professionals, someone that can find you the best places to put your money going forward. In addition, I really appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button, as it would help my channel out a lot. So let's talk about the background of what Altria is as a company. And currently it's the largest producer of tobacco and cigarettes in the world, which is crazy to think about. They've been a massive company. They were a member of the Dow Jones Industrial Average from 1985 until 2007. And the reason that they broke off from the Dow Jones is that they spun off Kraft Foods. So I thought it was really interesting. I didn't expect to see Kraft when I was researching on a cigarette company. And so in 2008, they broke away from a different part of their company that was focusing on international sales called Philip Morris. And so at this point, there's Altria and there's Philip Morris. They actually tried to merge together, or back again, and that got shut down. So they're still currently two different companies, and you can buy them both on the New York Stock Exchange. Over the years, Altria has kind of broken away from only being tobacco focused. They've gone into a bunch of different other sin areas. So they have stuff in alcohol, weed, and they've moved into e-cigarettes as well, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. While it's not on the Dow Jones Industrial Average anymore, it's still a member of the S&P 500, traded on the New York Stock Exchange at around $47 currently. In addition, it has around a 6% dividend, which is always something important to take a look at. Since I've talked about a lot of sin stocks recently, mainly with weed stocks with MJ, Tilray, and Aurora Cannabis, I thought it was kind of important to talk about understanding your values and morals when it comes to investing. You can look at a company and see a lot of potential in it financially, but if you don't like how the company's run or the industry that they're running in, I think it's important to kind of step back and think if it's worth taking a position in this company. Obviously, I think it's pretty well known the health hazards that are associated with tobacco and cigarettes in general. And if that's something that you don't feel comfortable taking a position in, you can find something that you're more comfortable with and most likely will have a better upside than something in the weed or tobacco field. Since I've graduated from college with a marine biology degree, a company like SeaWorld is something that I'll never take a position in just because it doesn't align with my values and my morals overall. And so if that's kind of how you feel about tobacco or weed companies, I'd recommend staying away from them at all costs. Currently, there's around 2,800 stocks being traded on the New York Stock Exchange, so there's plenty of options out there. And so don't just kind of get zoned into what other people think are great investments. Make sure that it's a company that you believe in and the ideas behind it. All right, now that I've kind of gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the tobacco industry currently. And tobacco has been around for centuries at this point. The heyday of tobacco products mainly came around at the first half of the 20th century. And you can kind of pinpoint the decline in tobacco products to 1964, actually my birthday on 1964, when the Surgeon General came out and outlined some potential health risks associated with cancer and tobacco products. And since then, the tobacco industry has fought very hard to keep having tobacco be an important part of the American culture. I think pretty much everyone's seen the old school ads for tobacco products showing how cool they are and how it's doctors recommend this brand over another one. And it's gotten to the point now where tobacco products cannot be marketed the same way anymore. However, since tobacco products have started to decline, there's still plenty of tobacco products being consumed in America. One of the articles that I read that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way was talking about how tobacco products and tobacco stocks are still a good buy considering it has a very addicted consumer base. And that just kind of felt wrong in a way. And saying that they're addicted instead of saying that they enjoy the product gives me two different ideas of where they're going from. Instead of saying, oh, we have a product that people love, they're saying, oh, we have a product that people are addicted to, so it'll keep our bottom line looking really good for a while. So it's pretty common knowledge that cigarette consumption has gone down in the United States over the years. And I'll put up a chart showing from 1985 up until 2015, and you can see that it's steadily declined. I recently found an article that cigarette consumption is at the lowest it's been in decades. And while this number has continued to decline, I recently found an article saying that cigarette consumption is at an all-time low from the peaks decades ago, but there's still around 40 million adults that regularly consume tobacco products. So there's still a market out there for this company. All right, let's talk about the fundamentals associated with Altria, ticker symbol MO. When I made this video a couple days ago, the stock was sitting up around 1.5%. And since I'm re-recording this video, I kind of checked to see how it did in the past couple days. And the day I recorded that video, the CEO came out and talked about how they kind of regret their investment into Juul. And as a result of that, the stock fell around 5%, and now it's sitting down 4.5% year to date. In the past 12 months, the stock market has done really well. I've talked a lot about how last winter stuff was really rough, and the day after Christmas in 2018, the stock market started its recovery. And when the stock market's up around 25% on average, when you look at Altria, and they're currently sitting between 8 and 10% year to date. And so they've really underperformed considering the rest of the market's been doing so well. When I look at the fundamentals, I see a lot of red flags, and that's never a good sign. The first thing I like to look at is revenue. And what you'd like to see is increased revenue growth over the years. However, when I put up revenue right now, you see that it's been really stagnant for a while. They're still bringing in $5 billion per quarter, which is really impressive, but they haven't seen the growth that you'd expect in a company that's been established for so long. Talking about earnings per share, Altria has been around for a long time, and they've been a very positive company when it comes to earnings per share. However, Q3 of 2019 was the first time that I could find where the company went negative on its earnings. And when you scroll back for many years and you can't find another time the stock's gone negative, similarly when we talked about JD a couple weeks ago, about how when a company's been positive for so long, when it finally goes negative, that's a huge red flag that should go off. However, this is not the biggest red flag. The largest red flag that I see is the amount of long-term debt that the company is currently holding on to. When I looked at the charts, I didn't believe how large it was. We've talked about a decent amount of companies that have a decent amount of long-term debt, mainly because they've had various acquisitions over the year. And that's the same case with Altria. However, they're currently sitting with $27 billion in long-term debt, which is, I think, the largest we've talked about on this channel. When I put up the long-term charts for long-term debt, that's just kind of a weird sentence to say, you can see that at the beginning of the 2010s, the company had very low long-term debt, and it has steadily increased. And the reasoning behind that is, I think the company has identified the trends that have gone along with tobacco products, and they've tried to diversify their portfolio. Similarly to how it's important for an investor to not just take a position in one sector or just have one company. When you have a wider net of sectors you're involved in, it protects yourself in case something negative happens in one particular sector. And that's pretty much what Altria has done. They've tried to fan out into other sin areas, including beer, weed, and e-cigarettes. So with that being said, let's take a look at those acquisitions they've had over the past couple years and talk about how they've worked for the company overall. Probably the most successful acquisition or large stake that they've taken in a company has been with Anheuser-Busch InBev, ticker symbol BUD. This was back in 2016, and since then, Anheuser-Busch, has done pretty well for themselves, and I'm sure the company has made a decent amount of money off of that. However, when we look at some of the other acquisitions they've been involved in recently, they have not gone so well. Back in my videos where I was talking about weed stocks, one of the common factors that are affecting all of these weed stocks is the fact that they burn through a lot of cash. And having a large company back them financially is super important. And in this case, Altria backed Cronos Group, ticker symbol CRON. And they put a decent amount of money into it. I believe it was around 1.5 billion. And since then, I'll put up the 12-month chart for Cronos, and you can see how poorly it's done. This isn't necessarily a reflection on Cronos itself. The whole weed industry has been hit pretty hard in 2019. When you put a decent amount of money into a company, just like a normal investor, when the stock price goes down, the amount of money that you have has significantly decreased. And so this does not look like a great investment for Altria. Probably the largest acquisition they've had was they bought a 35% stake in Juul for $13 billion. And Juul has, if you're unaware of what Juul is, it is kind of this new sexy e-cigarette that's come out recently. Just in my time in college, it's gone from having e-cigarettes that look like cigarettes to you have these giant vapes, which were kind of, people were made fun of for having vapes kind of in the college that I'm in. And then when Juul came out, it was marketed as this sexy way to consume nicotine. And the way it was marketed, I'll throw up one of the ads I saw, it was kind of marketed as a tech company or a tech product. And I highly recommend doing some more research on the history of Juul because it's fascinating how they marketed it as this new sexy device, and it really worked. When I put up how popular Juul has become in the e-cigarette market, you can see just the complete dominance that it's had overall. And so when Altria took a position in Juul, it probably made a lot of sense for them. They're buying a large stake in the leader in that sector, and they probably expected it to go pretty well. However, if you've been up to date with Juul news recently, the company has been allegedly marketing towards teenagers, and as a result, they've been required to stop producing specific flavors. They used to have stuff like cucumber, mango, mint, and now I believe the main stuff that they're allowed to sell is menthol and tobacco flavored. So it's trying to remove the attraction that kids had to these products. Similarly to how I talked about Uber having outside factors affecting the company, with Uber, I'm worried about the possibility that their employees or their drivers will be considered employees. Altria has the same problem with Juul. There's been a lot of government regulation coming in and trying to slow the use of tobacco products among teenagers. And so it kind of feels like something that's out of their control. And as a result, Juul has lost a lot of its value. Just yesterday, the CEO of Altria came out and said that they're underwhelmed with the performance of Juul since they've taken a position. And that's negatively hurt the company. The current numbers that I could find is apparently Altria has lost around $4.5 billion as a result of this investment with Juul, and I predict that number to increase over the upcoming years as government regulations comes in and hurts the amount of revenue that Juul brings in. So I've talked very poorly about Altria overall, but do I see anything positive associated with the company? And I could find one thing. One of the innovations that the company has come out recently is a product that focuses on heating and not burning the tobacco products. And allegedly it's a safer way to consume tobacco. However, some of the articles I've read saying that there's no medical information to back up this claim, but in 2019 they came out with a device called IQOS, which was the first of its kind and showing the attempts of the company to innovate into their sector. I don't think this product is really going to help their bottom line that much. However, I think it's important to show that the company is still trying to innovate overall and come out with new products. They've been hurt really recently with their investments into Cronos and Juul, and I think this is their attempt to kind of boost their numbers in the future. In most of these videos, I like going on the computer, doing technical analysis, and comparing what the analysts say about the company overall. However, with the factors, the outside factors that are affecting this company, I don't really feel the need to talk about the technicals. Because if the government comes out and has another hit onto e-cigarettes and the tobacco industry, the stock's going to fall no matter what my charts say. Overall, Altria still has the consumer base to have these ridiculous revenue of $5 billion per quarter. However, as we've seen, the trend is kind of going down with this company, and this is not a company I'd want to be involved in anytime soon. I think this whole sector with e-cigarettes, how there was the boom in e-cigarettes and now they're starting to fall, I don't think Altria is going to be doing that well in the future. So let me know what you think about Altria overall, in addition with the tobacco industry and their investment into Juul. Let me know in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching this episode of Robinhood Top Stocks, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.